Welcome to the next podcast from Millinery.Info. I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Millinery.Info. In this podcast series, we welcome milliners from across the globe into your ears and studio. Today, we have the honour of having Josemieke Crebolder to the podcast. Josemieke was the winner of the Dutch hat competition this year. We're thrilled, as a sponsor of the competition, to welcome her to this podcast episode to hear more about her winning piece. I'd like to take a moment to thank our Patreon podcast sponsors for their support: Hatblocks Australia, Louise McDonald Milliner, House of Adorn, The Hat Magazine, Hatters Millinery Supplies, Lifted Millinery, Be Unique Millinery, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lico, Hat Academy, and Millinery Australia. You can find a link to each of these businesses in our show notes. That's through the podcast app that you're listening or on our website. We also have some other resources on our website, so if you're heading on over, check those out as well. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode today. I'd love to invite you to become a Patreon to show your support of the series. It can be as little as shouting us a coffee per month to say thank you for the episode that you've enjoyed this month. All you need to do is head on over to patreon.com/millinery.info and you can see the tiers available. It will show in your local currency, and it's something that can happen once a month as a way of saying thank you and letting us know how much you love this series. Thank you so much for joining me for today's podcast. It's so exciting to have you here with us to talk hats.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you very much for the invite. I'm really honored. And my English isn't my mother tongue, so I hope I will be clear enough for everybody that is listening.
I think we're all just so excited to be talking hats and hearing about your story. It's so wonderful to have you here. Speaking of your millinery story, could you take us back? How did you first become involved with millinery?
Well, the past 2 weeks, I listened a lot to the podcast you already made with several milliners. And it struck me that a lot of them have somewhat similar upbringing like mine.
Yes.
In our family line, there's always been a lot of creativity. And from being an ironsmith to an industrial designer and really an arty family. My father was an industrial designer, and everything in our house he first designed by sketching, and then he also made it. And my mother, she was a creative therapist, and usually on a Wednesday, I went with her when I was a child to work, and in one of the workrooms, I could play and make all kinds of things with all the materials that were around. So that was like paradise. And my grandmother and her sister, they also lived with us on the ground floor of our house.
Yes.
And when my father was a child, he used to earn a living. They used to earn a living by dressmaking. And during my childhood, I remember that they were always knitting or behind the sewing machine. And from both of them, I learned to use needle and thread.
Yes.
And I was also allowed sitting behind the sewing machine. And yeah, and because they would never leave the house without wearing a hat, I think that in my childhood the little seed was planted. So that's first. And because of my father was an industrial designer, as was his brother. As long as I remember, as a child, I fantasized about becoming an industrial designer also and make furniture. So I wanted to go to the Design Academy in Eindhoven. It's a really important school. And now looking back, I think that I was far too young when I went there. And it made me really insecure, especially when it was assessment week. And because of I became so insecure, I quit it within a year, fortunately. And it also killed all my creative spirits and it also killed my creative spirit and for quite some time. and also my ambition for a creative career. But I think you never lose your creativity. So it
Yes.
came either way by running the business with my husband for 30 years and decorating our house and making presents, etc., etc. Yeah, with my husband, I also have two grown-up daughters. And for 30 years, we owned the nice cafe in our hometown, Hertogenbosch. And my husband encouraged me during that period to go to arts and crafts school again and start drawing and painting. And after my father died and my mother became ill with Alzheimer's, I realized how precious life is. And I really wanted to invest from that time on in whatever made me happy. And that is still creating and making things. So at first I started to go to Broderie Daar school, Dutch Couture Academy from Saskia Terwelle. And I learned the beauty of embroidery with the tambour needle. And that's really beautiful. I still love it. And I even invested in a tufting gun to make tapestry. Yeah, so that's in the back room, one of the back rooms. And but a couple of years ago, COVID came, and we also had to close our cafe for several months on order of the government. And trying not to get insane, I was lucky to discover the book of Marianne Jonkind, Het Couture.
Wow.
And learning new skills, challenge myself was a very welcome distraction.
Yes.
And soon I realized that everything I've done before in my life, making, comes all together in hat making. So in Dutch, we've got a saying, het kwartje viel. That means that all comes together and makes sense. So that's a bit my story of,
That's amazing. Oh, so much
a
in
bit
that.
much.
No, a perfect amount.
Okay.
How did you come across Marianne's book?
Well, in the COVID period on Instagram, you see a lot passing by. And I was also a lot on YouTube, finding out how can I make hats and different things. I think it's came by on Instagram.
Fabulous.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
What was your
And
first hat project?
I think a little bit like Audrey Hepburn hat she's got in the book. So I bought a hat block large for the brim and for the crown. From yellow velvet I made, no, not velvet, yellow felt. Yeah, the yellow felt capeline I made. Yeah.
You really dived in.
Yeah, I think I made almost every hat out of the book. Yeah, so I really love it, and it's somewhere here, and I still grab the book and look about it, and try to remember. Oh yeah, that's the way she makes it.
Yeah, but also sounds like a lifetime of creative ideas and interacting with textiles and a lot of other skills that would have supported you to be able to have a go and feel that it was possible to take on those new textiles.
Yeah, I'm not afraid of it. So I love trying out new materials and still do. Yeah.
Have you had a chance to take one of Marianne's classes in person since? Now that we've come out of all those lockdowns?
On one of the head days in the Netherlands, she learned the technique with It's a material that you can't buy anymore. It looks a bit woven.
A spartree?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. And we made in just 2-3 hours ahead of it, and had to cover it with lovely fabric. Yeah, but not a real course spider. No, perhaps in the future. You never know.
She's not, how is she far away from you? Where are you? I haven't looked up where you are on a map.
Well, for Australian,
Not far.
not far. uh, I thought she lives in Slice. I think 60 kilometers.
Oh yeah. Not too bad.
Like no, not too bad. No, no, no.
And once you've worked, as you were working your way through the book and the projects, how did you start to add your own twists and explore your own designs with them?
Well, I think every time I want to put something in for my, which is really me. With the hat I pronounced, the Audrey Hepburn like hat. I just made the Peterson, the band, yeah, and played with that to give it just another my twist. And,
Yeah.
I think I do it with all the hats I learned to make with the book or with Hat Academy, or always try to give it a little bit my personal touch.
You mentioned Hat Academy in there. What other lessons have you taken since you started your millinery journey?
Everyone? Everyone? Yeah. Yes, I think everyone, especially the lessons from Louise McDonald. I really love the way she explains and the hats she makes. They suit me very well. And it's funny because I can still, when I'm working with Cinema, I can almost hear her voice by the bias, squeeze it in. Yeah, yeah. And
It's like you've got her with you in the workroom.
yeah, yeah. And I really love Het Academy and also Het Atelier because I can look back when I'm in the train or something, or in the garden, just relaxing. I can still look back on a lesson, and they give me. It never gets boring, so they still give me a lot of inspiration, and yeah, I love it. It's a great way to learn. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And your studio space that I'm getting to see you in now, when did you
Mm-hmm.
start setting that up and how did you start putting it together?
Yeah. Well, our daughters moved out a couple of years ago. They're grown up, huh? I'm already a grandmother, so and I already had some materials in boxes and stuff. And one day I made one room, the back room. It became mine, and was lucky enough 2 years ago to buy a whole bunch of head blocks from a former milliner. In the back room on the first floor, one wall is filled from bottom till
Wow.
all with head blocks. And I've got a lot. I had bought some from head blocks in England and also from Australia, some Rebecca Share blocks, the headbands,
That
and
Darrow
now
creates.
yeah. And so the back room is already filled with materials and head blocks, and it's crazy out there. And here in the front, the light's really beautiful, and it's on the north. It's a perfect light, and to work and make the hats out here and display some of the hats. Yeah.
Who have you been creating hats for?
Um, a lot of times people see my Instagram account and because they like a hat I have placed on Instagram, and or they come, and that's the what I like the most, when they come in with something of the outfit they want to wear, and they want me to make a hat for them. But I really love the freedom of creating a hat. I think every milliner does. So when someone has their outfit ready, or the color of the outfit, and they come in and we try on some different head shapes. And I love it when they give me the freedom and trust me enough to make the hat fit with their outfit. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. What?
It is such an exciting process.
Yeah. Yeah. That's really I love the most. On Instagram, there's one picture of a woman. Her son got married 2 years ago, and she had a really nice dress with orange and yellow. And she came in, and we find the head shape she wanted, and I was allowed to let it fit without naira. And then she looks so great in that hat. I'm still very proud of that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And where have you been finding your beautiful millinery supplies from?
Ploy en of al Hoeden dingen.
When you're sourcing supplies, do you collect them as you see them if they tickle your fancy, or do you try and find them when you need them?
Well, what do you think?
Oh, that's a stupid question. I take it back.
um, when I'm Googling on Ploy or
Yeah.
all foreheads, I think. Um, yeah, I go wild. So
Yeah.
when I want one color, I usually end up with several colors. So yeah, that's why the
And
back room
Dennis,
is filled, huh?
yeah.
And Dennis, yeah, from
And
Ploy,
Dennis
yeah,
has such a dangerous selection in his space as well that
yeah,
when you're there,
yeah.
it's
Well,
amazing.
I'm lucky enough to have won a big prize to buy to get some materials from him. So I must go. So
You
soon
must
I will
go.
go, and yeah,
And speaking of the prize, let's talk about this beautiful hat that you created. So the
yeah,
Dutch
yeah,
Hat Association had their competition earlier this year, which congratulations, you won first place with your
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
piece.
Yeah,
Really.
thank you. Yeah,
Could we
thank
start
you.
with the theme and the prompt you received because they do it in a very interesting way.
Well, the theme of this year was Seize the Day, and everybody, after registering, uh, had to wait for their flowers, for their flower. It came by mail or post, and mine was the astrantia, and a flower I didn't know till then. And I was a little bit I regretted that I had registered for the competition because it's a very delicate flower, and I thought, what
Yeah.
have I
What are we
got to
going to
do
do?
with it? Yeah, oh boy. But because we are also allowed to take a look at the meaning or use the color of the flower for the hat,
Yes.
I started to look for the meaning, and there it was. The astrantia was used as an inspiration for jewelry, the Zeeuwse knoop, a jewel that became a status symbol in the traditional costume from Zeeland, a province in the Netherlands. Because in the past I've made several Brabantse poffers, that's a Dutch word. That's a local hat worn by farmers' wives in the past. And Brabantse poffers are also a part of a traditional costume. So I just knew I would love turning the astrantia into a Zeeuwse knoop hat. Again, as during the other two times I joined the competition, I saw a lot of possibilities for making the hat, for making the Zeeuwse knoop. And then had to find out which one would it become. So this time I even tried making a Zeeuwse knoop from foam clay that remains lightweighted and would be perfect floating on a headband, for instance. And I also tried some purple latex that was a leftover I still had from the foldable folies.
Yes.
And I lined it around a four-shaped ball, and that really looked great, almost like a real pearl. Beautiful. But unfortunately, the glue for latex made the frost shape soft again. So I couldn't work with it. It stays in the back of my head because it's really beautiful, but perhaps someday. Then I had remembered that I had some glitter jersey fabric in a box, and I tried it together with some fiberfill, wool water, and placed it on the frost-shaped ball. And then I was very pleased on how that was going to look. Stephen Jones asked me when I was on stage. He asked me how I made the balls, and I was well, yeah. he couldn't figure out how I made it. They are made from two half balls, and one half I gave cheap plastic beads, and I covered it also with jersey fabric, and I placed them all on a circle of laiton. The other halves I put the balls together with on the other side, and for the center I used a Rebecca Scher head mold. That was with smaller balls, and it was easily put on a headband. Yeah, that was also made from crochet and glitter jersey. And I've got a little one, a little bit different, but one of the tryouts. Say, and because I've been searching for the Zeeuwse knoop, for the Astrantia, and the Zeeuwse knoop, I had seen a modern version of the Zeeuwse knoop, and that was put on a ring, for wearing on a ring. Especially on the headband, it almost looks again like a ring. So when I first finished, I thought, this is it, and now I can send it in for the competition. And this one is mine, this little one.
Mini version. How so much testing in that process to try different techniques and to decide on how you're going to construct the spheres, because that's not an easy feat. That's very challenging.
Yeah. Well, when you entered also the foldable folies, you became second, huh? I thought. Yeah. Congratulations on that. Well, I still see things you can fold in, and I really found that very impossible, and almost not impossible, but challenging.
Are these techniques that you'd used in other projects, or you were exploring them for the first time?
Well, the foam clay, I never used it before. But I thought, well, that would be easy, or that would be nice. Also have some examples here, but I thought, no, it's not beautiful enough to send in. So skip it. So now I also have a box full of foam clay. I don't know what to do with it, but you never know. You never know.
Quite amazing. And how was the experience? Because the hats went, or is there a runway, and then they were on display for a little while at a castle?
Yeah, on a Saturday, 11th of May, we went to Arce. It's a beautiful castle. And there was a walk. How do you call it?
Great.
A show. And so I had to see I saw the head back again after missing it for 2 months, I think. And then Stephen Jones came in the room. The whole, the audience, all the audience, all milliners and cat lovers, they all became very quiet. And it's the headmaster, the real headmaster. And after that, they pronounced the 10 nominees. I thought this time it was really important to become one of those 10
Yeah.
nominees. And yes, I made it. Then he pronounced number two, three, and number two. And I thought, oh, well, then I'm number four again. Because there was another hat I really loved. And I thought, she's going to win. But then he pronounced my name. I had to come forward. Whoa, I really was overwhelmed. Yeah, I still am a bit, actually. Oh,
Well,
God.
it's a beautiful piece and the story behind it to
Yeah,
see the
really.
inspiration is, I think, so interesting and to hear the research journey you went on from going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this flower I've never heard of, to such a great interpretation with such innovative techniques.
Yeah. Well, I was really lucky that it's also used as the Zeeuwse knoop. So that
Mm.
was yes, yippee.
That's that it's meant to be thing again, I think.
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah, yeah.
You've got a lot of amazing skills that come together there. When I was having a look at some of your work, I was finding pieces that have been worn in Carnival. Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a unique, or not too, we don't have something like that here. Could you tell us a little bit about that event and what goes into the outfits that get worn for this celebration?
Carnival is not like you've got it in Australia with the races or in England with the races. And it's even not like the dancers with large feathers in Rio de Janeiro, for instance. Um, our carnival is totally different. And it's got his source at the Catholic faith, and it's full with tradition. On 3 days, 7 weeks before Easter, always 7 weeks before Easter, it's a way to break the grind with jokes, for instance, about politics. And the main color we always use and wear is red, white, and yellow. And every year there's a different theme. And for a couple of years, I wore a costume a bit like Mary Poppins. I think you've seen it. When the theme was Let It Shine, covered the whole Mary Poppins outfit with tin foil. I made everything again
Yeah.
and wrapped it in tin foil. And when the theme was from childhood on, we made the Mary Poppins outfit a bit like a Japanese kawaii style. You know,
Yes.
when grown-ups dress like little children with a lot of petticoats, a little bit like a Hello Kitty,
Yes.
something like that. Yeah. Oh, that was very fun. And this year, they changed the route of one of the parades we take part of. And with all what is going on in the world, my friends came up with a lighthouse theme to provide some direction for everybody. And
Very
Adinda, a good friend
nuanced.
of mine, yeah. Adinda, a good friend of mine, she made the jackets in red and white and with yellow windows on it. And I made the hats. Do those again. And because in Holland every lighthouse has got a different name and shape, I stacked several head blocks together and made four different heads. So yeah, that was this year.
How fun. What a
Yeah.
fun, creative, completely different to a lot of other hat projects. And outside of these, wild creations, what is your favorite type of hat to create?
My favorite hat to create. Oh, I really don't know. No, I don't know. I think I'm still making and learning and
What have been some career highlights for you so far in your millinery journey?
well, it's a bit of a difficult question, but I think that must be finding out that I really wanted to create and that I am a maker. So the feeling that I can't resist to create and step by step I am learning myself more and more. That's a great, yeah, that's an important highlight, I think, to
Yes.
accept I'm a maker. And also a highlight is that my husband and daughters encouraged me to attend the hat competition for the first time in 2022. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was very nervous showing my creation to professional hat makers and milliners. What would they think and say about my work? Is it professionally made enough? And the first time I received an honorable mention, so wow, that gave me a really boost me up. So, and especially because the headmaster himself, Mr. Stephen Jones, presented the prize as a member of the jury this year. It felt like I finally finished school and got my diploma. So,
Oh, what a very special moment.
yeah, huge, a very great highlight.
A question I do like to end on is, what is an exciting project that you're looking forward to or currently working on?
Yeah, well, I think it's important now when I was almost like I've finished school and got my diploma. It's important for me to really start promoting myself or the way I make hats.
Yeah.
It's very scary, by the way, but I love making hats and I can't wear them all myself, so I have to go and promote it. And
Yes.
so I think I'm going to make several hats for Carnival, the way we celebrate Carnival. And then I will put them on Instagram. And I think I asked my oldest daughter to um, take care of some of the things I'm afraid of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to make several hats and then put them on Instagram and say, here I am, here are the hats, come and fit them on and buy them, something like that. Yeah, and I must practice a workshop they asked me to give in October for the
Yes.
Dutch Hat Association, on Hoedendag, to make hats of something like the Zeeuwse knoop for shape and forming it. And so I'll be busy enough. Yeah,
There's quite a few projects on the go.
yeah, yeah.
All the very best for that next exciting step. It's so exciting to see and hear about your skills and how you've developed and grown them. So we can't wait to keep watching to see what you get up to. And thank you so much for sharing your story with us in the podcast.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me for this episode of Millinery.Info. It was wonderful to hear the story of Josemieke and her wonderful winning piece. This episode was made possible thank you to our Patreon podcast sponsors. These include Hat Academy, Millinery Australia, Hattis Millinery Supplies, House of Adorn, Judith M. Millinery Supply House, Hats by Lico, Be Unique Millinery, Lifted Millinery, Louise McDonald Milliner, The Hat Magazine, and Hatbox Australia. Thank you so much to these amazing businesses for their support. If you'd like to hear your business name mentioned there, you can head on over to our Patreon page to sign up to become a podcast sponsor. If podcast sponsorship isn't for you, but you'd still like to show your support, there's 2 other tiers available. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I'm your host, Lauren Ritchie, and I look forward to talking hats with you again soon.